Mic check 1 2 1 2. We are live. What's good, man? We are back. It's your boy Brandon B. What's up? I wanted to hop on here before I go downstairs and work out, but just saw this come across my timeline, and this is right up my alley. I'm probably sure you guys are wondering why I'm wearing these sunglasses today. But I'm wearing them because I want to conceal my identity. Because this is one that might, get your boy taken off the map. Who knows? But I wanted to talk about this Jeffrey Epstein list. Apparently, the DOJ announced that this Epstein list is no longer in existence. It never happened. It never existed. All out of nowhere. All of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of crazy. And I wanted to talk about this because I saw just, this popping up in my timeline, and I was like, how interesting the timing of it all, as though we care, right? But it's very interesting just kind of how, especially just with what's going on right now in the world, kind of just the entire conjunction of what we're seeing as of late, right? And so I felt like it was important, just to go ahead and dox this on top of my things that I've talked about to talk about this today. You feel me? And so I wanted to start at least with just kind of the news, breaking news, right? Breaking news. Boo, boo, boo. You know what I'm saying? Breaking news just about kind of the Epstein list not being in existence and whatever the hell that may mean, right? So I just wanted to bring it up first here so we can kind of get some context for you guys before, I go into it pretty hardcore, because, I did find this to be a pretty interesting story just from the beginning of it, just because this is what we talk about, right? As conspiracy theorists or people who are conscious and woke, and they want to figure out what's really going on and holding the government accountable because of some of the atrocities maybe that they have committed across, time, right? So the Epstein story it really kind of hit me in a certain way, because I'm like, look at this guy, right? Powerful man, rich man, billionaire who's attached to all of these royalty and politicians, billionaires, actors, very powerful people in the world, right? And then it turns out he's actually a notorious sex trafficker who has an entire island full of underage people, and that a lot of these very, very important, very, very real, very, very serious, right? Powerful people were there, right? They were there visiting these islands, having parties, enjoying whatever was going on while all this was happening. And so I felt like it was a very interesting story, right? Just off the offset, right? Just to think, whoa, this guy had a whole island that was, a part of some sort of a Saudi Arabian family, and a donation of, somewhere very off into the sunset. And this guy's over here just, he's having a ball over there, you feel me? And so I wanted to talk about this because, of course, what they said was that he unalived himself in jail while he was being held, getting ready to be taken off to prison to stand trial. And so a lot of people thought that was suspicious off top, whoa, this is the guy who basically, right, like we said, he has this list, he has these tapes, he has all this leverage against all these very powerful people. Why would he want to take himself out? And that raised questions for, I think, a lot of people, and a lot of us were really curious about what that meant, kind of what's going on, behind the scenes, behind the veil of what, America is making us believe about, kind of what's going on behind the scenes. A lot of very powerful, very, very important people who are, right, integral in the entire existence and the form of what we consider modern society, right? If these people are going to this length, going off to very strange islands in the middle of nowhere, and they're able to just kind of be over here autonomously and not be found, That's kind of weird. And of course, the fact that all this stuff is, the flight logs and all these things are now just kind of disappearing into thin air, like, is crazy to think about, because of course that is the problem. And that's why I think a lot of people are very, 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 very weary and very questionable about the government and what goes on behind the scenes because of stuff like this, right? Because we see that, okay, this guy who is a billionaire, he's attached to not only just people who are rich, but also people who are powerful, royalty, all right? Royal families are attached to this guy's name, who are part of these parties and these flight logs, and they're in pictures, all right? Pictures, okay, with this guy. So it's not like, oh, we're just kind of, making this up, or there's conspiracy about, no. This is what's happening in real time. And so for all this to kind of just, boil over and then kind of happen in such a way that I feel like it's quite hilarious, right? I just wanted to talk about it. So I'm going to bring up the initial news article. This came out today, which I thought was, like I said, the timing of it all is very interesting, right? So let's see what they have to say, right? This is from ABC News, guys, all right? ABC News.
Now to the breaking news overnight about the Jeffrey Epstein files and the conspiracy theories officially being rejected. Overnight, the FBI and Justice Department releasing 11 hours of footage they say helps confirm notorious financier Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in his Manhattan jail cell in 2019.
Okay, so look, already, like I said, they're setting the stage with the conspiracy theory right on the outset. And that's what you have to be careful of when you're consuming any type of media from any type of outlet, right? You have to be very, very careful about what the words they use, right? And he specifically used those conspiracy theories being debunked, right? Mind you, there are plenty of articles, plenty of video out there of not only just, YouTubers and internet sleuths who are talking about this, but actual politicians who said that they had the list. What the hell is that? If they're saying that they have the list themselves and then now it doesn't exist, how is that possible? Right? So let's continue.
Awaiting his sex trafficking trial. According to a memo detailing the findings, investigators found the video showed no one entering the area in the overnight hours before Epstein was found unresponsive. But perhaps the biggest bombshell, investigators say they found no incriminating client list of Epstein's, no credible evidence that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals, and no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties.
How convenient, right? How convenient, right? No credible evidence, right? Okay. All of a sudden, after Elon Musk goes out there and exposes his boy Donald Trump for being on this list, for being on these flight logs, now all of a sudden the DOJ is like, no, it's gone. It never happened. It's not what you guys think. It's totally just made up. We aren't really up to anything. How crazy is that, right? To think about in that sense, where now they're coming out here saying that, oh, this doesn't happen, this didn't happen, no, this is, no way. But like I said, that's where you have to be careful what the media does and the games that they play, the trigonometry that they play, all right? Look at this shit.
For years, Epstein has been at the center of conspiracies surrounding both his death and a rumored client list allegedly used to blackmail powerful men. Attorney General Pam Bondi, back in February, was asked if the Justice Department intended to release a list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Bondi saying this.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet.
And just last month, while feuding with President Trump, Elon Musk posting, time to drop the really big bomb. At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public.
Now look, they strategically brought this part up. I'm not sure exactly why they'll bring this up, but I feel like this just proves my point. Is the fact that at the end of the day, you can see clearly that they are trying their best to make this something, right? To turn this into something, to make this into like, oh no, this didn't happen, no way. But literally, he just said it, right? Elon Musk and Donald Trump just had a recent fallout, and of course, like that was big money, there's big business behind this, right? So there was an incentive at least for Elon Musk, right, to feel like he's exposing Donald Trump, right, the president of the United States, right? How crazy would it be if he was on the Epstein list, right? And of course, yeah, sure, no problem, like we get it, you know what I'm saying? Like that's very like salacious story, right? It's a very salacious story, but in reality, in my opinion, it's actually there's validity to it, because from the beginning, like I just said, from the beginning, there was already speculation about who was involved with Jeffrey Epstein, where these lists were, and who was on it, right? And so, of course, they go back to the pictures, right? They're going to go back and look at the pictures and see, okay, who's out there? Who were the ones that were standing next to this guy? There's pictures of Oprah. There's pictures of Donald Trump. There's pictures of John Legend. There's pictures of a lot of very prominent people, right, who were standing next to him. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, okay? And that's, that pretty much seals it, right? Royalty, Prince Harry, people like this. I know, man. You gotta help me understand, like, if this is not what's going on, you guys gotta help me understand how this is happening, because clearly there's something going on, right? And so, of course, like, I'm not the only one, right? So now I'm gonna bring up, this guy. I really like him. Like, he's a very good YouTuber. I really enjoy his content because he's very good about, exposing, right? He's good at like expose content, and so I really like what he had to share about this, and kind of he was on it just like we are. I think most people who have been following the story for a while, he was on it immediately, and he had a lot to say about this. So let's take a look at his stuff. Shout out to Boyzilla. I like his content. So yeah, let's hear him out.
Hello, welcome back to the Boy. Today we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. The big update, which is just that he had no client list and offed himself. That's according to Axios in a big scoop. They apparently got a hold of this document from the US DOJ and FBI, kind of a joint statement here. We're going to go through it. They say, as a part of a commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of the investigative holdings related to Jeffrey Epstein, sort of a relook at the evidence, if you will, and they come to some very interesting findings. And it's interesting in that it's contrary to what a lot of what they've been saying all along. And
that's exactly what we're all saying here, is the fact that something ain't adding up. You feel me? They were saying one thing at one point, just trying to, reiterate, what they thought was going on. And then it eventually turned into kind of what's happening now. And that was my thing, was like something ain't adding up to this. There's a part of this shit that just very like all over the place. And that part was the part that really raised my eyebrows and made me think like, yo, like, what the fuck is going on? Because there's no way that they're telling us one thing and then all of a sudden they come to this conclusion today where they drop this, bombshell about, we're gonna go ahead and talk about this or that. Now they're saying that the list doesn't even exist. Like, come on, man. Like, probably we should exist. So we continue, right?
that's what's kind of the problem here. For the last few months, we've been teased along with these statements about, oh, we've got the client list.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
We've got thousands of videos.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child.
Okay, that's exactly what I was saying. Like all this stuff, like they were telling us literally, like there's video of them saying this. No one asked them. All they did was ask questions about what was going on with the case. They were saying that they had these videos. They were saying that they had a list that they were releasing. And I'm not playing when I say that there's a list that they release out there with names on it right now. What is that? What was that then? If this isn't the list and there is no list. If that's not what that was, help me understand, because whatever that was, then they're telling us that was a Trojan horse and it didn't exist, because that is some total BS.
And then, Kash Patel goes on Joe Rogan and says, hey, There ain't no videos. If I had a video of a guy on an island committing a felony, don't you think you know about it?
Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
It's already. Seems like a bit of a contradiction. Now, Joe Rogan even tries to give him the out, like, oh, maybe you don't have it. And he's like, no, we're giving you everything.
If you have access to it.
If I have it, period.
Right.
If I have it.
Right. If you have it.
Right.
But you can't say that you have it.
No, we're giving you everything we have.
So far.
Everything we have so far is...
Have you guys gone over all the video that's available?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling
you. See, there's a lot of bullshit going on here. A lot of back and forth. A lot of I don't know. A lot of, well, this might happen. Well, it's on my desk. How is it on your desk if there is no list? Help us understand, people, because that's what I'm talking about. When it comes to corruption in this government, this is what we're talking about right here. This is corruption at its finest, right? An entire list of powerful individuals who are involved with a man who was considered a sex trafficker. Right? The list just disappears like a thin air, right? How is that possible? Help me understand how that's possible. Out of nowhere? Yeah, right. Yeah, right, dude. There's no way. That list is right there. They just don't want y'all to see it or know that it exists, okay? We get it, but still, like, don't play in our face.
I'm telling you, that's what takes so much damn time.
And so there already was a wedge with what we were sort of told we're going to get versus then they come out and say, hey, nothing to see here. And today is a little bit more of that. It's a little bit more of the finger wagging at the conspiracy theorists, which is ironic given that both Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, who have now come out saying there's nothing to see here, guys, were saying, oh, there's a lot to see here before they got it.
Who killed Jeffrey Epstein?
This doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a suicide.
It's unbelievable. The guy killed himself.
Now, maybe that's because they did a deep dive and they're just being honest with people.
Again, you want me to get, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
But I think you deserve criticism if you're going to engage in this type of conspiratorial thinking, and then when it's convenient for you, you expect the trust of the people. If you're
That's it right there, guys. That's it right there. That's the point. How are we as the public and the people supposed to trust our government when they got motherfuckers like this going around sharing false information, saying one thing, saying another thing? You look over here, then over there, but no, it's actually over here. How are we supposed to consciously, as like a public or anyone, right, who's supposed to think about critically what happened? Why did this guy have a whole island that he was able to have and use at his own discretion to have all of these parties with, you know what's going on, okay? How is this possible for this to happen? And how are these people who are considered the most powerful and most responsible, the richest people involved in this stuff? How is this all happening at once? Please help me understand how this is happening, because of course, we're not going to get the answers, but that's something that I feel like is a very important question to ask, because that is what we expect. We don't expect our politicians and people who are in power to be, out here frolicking with, very questionable individuals who have islands where they're doing very questionable things. That's a problem. And that's why I think Donald Trump will never live that down. And of course, his history has shown us that he is a very questionable, freaky dude. Okay? So I'm not putting it past any of these guys about what they were up to and what they've been doing. All right?
You're the one saying, like, hey, those guys can't be trusted. You become that guy and you go, well, guys, you can trust me, right? When I'm going to say the exact same thing everyone's been saying this whole time. That's why it's so stupid. I mean, you guys set up all the wrong expectations. You told us we're going to reveal the truth, and now they're saying there's nothing to see here, and shame on you for thinking there was. And once again, this is more self-contradiction, because in this statement, we actually find immediately first page, second paragraph, saying that there's a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who are either minors or appear to be minors. My question is, there's no one else. In this statement, they admit that Epstein harmed over 1,000 victims.
That part right there, okay? These were real, all right? This really happened, okay? This is not just fake. This is what was happening. And that's what we're saying. How is it possible for this man to be a part or to be doing or committing these levels of crime? And then at the same time, nobody is involved. No one of these people who are attached to him, no one who's going to these parties, no one who is taking pictures with this guy, no one who was in business with him, they didn't partake in any of this. None, not even a single part. They didn't take part in any of this. Sure they did. Yeah, right. It's impossible to think that because we all know the obvious, okay? We can use our own brain, we can use our own eyes and be able to see what the BS is in this scenario. And of course, like, this is straight up BS. Like, this does not make sense. There's no way that a man who can have this much power, these many resources, this much money, be able to do this many things with this many people, and a lot of these people aren't involved. Yeah, right. There's no list. Yeah, right. How crazy is that? They're just playing in our face at this point, okay? 1,000 victims, all right?
So you got 1,000 people, either some form of evidence that he harmed. Nobody else was involved. Epstein's around the most powerful people on the planet. 1,000 victims. No, nobody else. There's images and videos. Apparently, that's what they say. Nobody else is on camera, right? Because otherwise, that would mean that the FBI director went on Joe Rogan and told a lie, told a little fib.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
But he says he's going to get the evidence out. So how do you square this, right? There's 1,000. Was Epstein just filming himself the whole time for, like, did he put it in the evidence box? I mean, that's the ridiculous thing about this. Why would you film yourself committing these acts? That's where the whole...
That's it. I mean, there you go. Obviously, right? Obviously, use your brain. Critical thinking will help save your life, people. Okay? Critically thinking about this. There is no way that he would just have 1,000 videos of himself doing these things with, youth. Okay? There would be no point. So yes, there is 100% videotapes of him, but I'm sure there's also videotapes of other people. 100%. I know that for a fact. There's probably videos of a lot of people who we know, who we hold up to very high standards, who we expect to do the right things. They are probably in these videos doing some very, very, very questionable stuff. Very, very not ready people. Okay? And so when I'm looking at this from that perspective, yeah, I'm not playing no games, man. We can use our brain, we can use our eyes and make a very easy assessment to see that this is some straight BS. So there's no way that he would just be there alone by himself, filming with children. Like, come on, man, get out of here. There's no freaking way.
Blackmail angle came from was there's all these videos for what, right? And I'm sure those people, these powerful people, did not consent to being recorded. So what else was this being used for? It's just pretty amazing. This whole statement seems to absolve any third parties, saying that they really have nothing else that they can bring that would expose third parties to allegations of illegal wrongdoing. Saying later, this systemic review revealed no incriminating client list. Now, here's what I gotta say, like, yeah, what, you didn't find the little notebook that had the, like, every guy that did something wrong on it? Yeah, obviously that's probably not going to exist, right? But if you have videos and somebody appears in the video doing something bad, it's not a client list, but that's a client, right? So I just find it so hard to believe. I just don't believe. I'm going to be honest. I do not believe that you had so many videos, apparently enough to catalog over 1,000 victims and not a single other person other than Epstein.
That's it right there. Like, there's no freaking way And I just wanted to make that clear. I wanted to hop on this, and really just kind of put my hat in the ring and just let you guys know kind of how I feel about this, because I feel the same exact way. This is just some straight up BS. They are literally pulling a veil over our faces right now, playing with us, making us think that this is not something that it is, okay? And I feel like, as people here, Brandon, as part of elite media, we are here to tell the truth and to make this thing known to anyone who's out there who's going to be watching this video, that, hey guys, use your brain, watch these type of things, and pay attention to what is happening right here in real time. Because if you do not, they will play in your face every single time. Every single time this is what will happen. They will go out of their way to make it seem like there's something that's not happening. We literally have a man who is in the presidency, who was a part of this little faction of people who are doing very, very questionable things on some over island out there in the middle of nowhere. And it was just him? No way, dude. 1,000 victims, and it was just Epstein? Yeah, right. No way. It's going to be more than just him. It's going to be exactly like I was saying earlier. It's going to be politicians, it's going to be rich people, it's going to be billionaires, it's going to be royalty, all right? Royalty from the Middle East all the way up to you, okay? All the way down to the UK. They're here doing what they got to do up there. And so I just want to make this clear to everybody out there, man. Keep your eyes open. Pay attention to what's going on in this world. And do not let these motherfuckers play in your face, because they'll try to do it at the time. You know what I'm saying? So salute to everybody out there. My name is Brandon B. This is Elite Media. And we always want to keep it real. Peace.